So good morning, Chairman, Relay Board, Member Mechanical, other members of the Relay Board, all my other colleagues, and all my distinguished friends who have come from several countries as well as different parts of India to participate in this program. When people travel by any mode of transportation, obviously there are several expectations of the passengers. One is comfort, safety, convenience, and as we say always, a satisfied customer is the best ambassador the transporter could have. And a satisfaction index of the organization which provides the service depends upon several factors. In case of railways, the journey starts with boarding a train, but a life cycle of journey starts with thinking about the travel, then he makes a booking for the ticket, then he comes to the platform, then he boards the train, and then wherever he reaches his destination, he just gets out. The whole life cycle will decide his opinion about how was his travel. And therefore, the expectation of a passenger, since it is divided into several different parts of the travel itself, we really need to find out how we could provide the best possible solution to a passenger so that his experience will be satisfactory as well as he becomes an ambassador for the railways. Now, since the number of passengers who travel by railway is mammoth, the challenge is also manifold. Therefore, in the railway budget, I had mentioned several new initiatives to deal with this issue. One obviously was booking itself. In the little later in the afternoon, we'll also launch different kinds of booking tickets using the digital technology. So we'll not talk about it today, but maybe a little later. The second part, of course, is the most important part because he spends the maximum time of his travel on board. How do you provide the best possible service to him? Now, that depends upon how do you design the coach itself. So this conference is extremely important, where we are going to focus on that aspect. What do you mean by design is convenience, comfort, as well as, in many cases, understanding the unique need of a passenger. There are quite a few passengers who travel by train, and they expect that I should get a lower berth because they are little advanced in age. There are pregnant women who obviously need some support in terms of not climbing the stair but sitting on the bench. So this is something, the uniqueness of a particular segment of population has to be kept in mind. But generally, people will expect it to be clean, people will expect it to be comfortable, at the same time understanding some other needs of the passengers. I remember I was traveling once. I used to do that once. I was in Varanasi station. The train was stopped there. This is last December. And train was delayed because of fog. So the passenger was telling me, now the train is delayed. I cannot even communicate with my family or my friends because there is no, my mobile battery has gone after a long journey and there is no charger in the plane. Now this is a very basic need of a passenger which we must understand, and therefore now we have started. I had to mention it in my budget speech. This is something which is so fundamental, but still putting a charger or a charging point into the coach is such a small thing but can add so much to the value of this passenger. Secondly, people are saying that we must keep it clean. Obviously, has to be done, but where do I dump my trash? If I want to do it, there is no place, so we decided that like we have it in air-conditioned coaches and others, all coaches should have a dustbin. This again is a very fundamental thing. But we decided to do that, and now I think over a period of time, all coaches will be covered by that. There are 60,000 coaches, and therefore I think we must do it in such a way that we can reach this target at the fastest possible time. Third is toilet. Small little thing for looking like what is toilet. But toilet is a place where people feel that they should be using it when it is clean, hygienic, and therefore these are least of the expectations. That again is a part of a designing of a coach which actually has to be taken on board. I know we are making a lot of effort doing bio-toilets, but I think we should also try to find out a best possible solution in terms of toilets which will be over a period of time. We should need not be using as much water as it is today. We should not be discharging the human waste anywhere. It also must make sure that it does not create odor which people will not like. And therefore, I think these are the type of challenges which we'll have to face, considering the basic need, basic amenities we need to provide when a passenger travels by train. Safety is very important. We are seeing that whenever there is a derailment or any accident, if the coach itself is proof or made in a way that will not create any injuries or casualties because the coach is designed like this. It is like always we see that a car which is made in a proper manner, resistant to accident, even if there is an accident, the person inside will not suffer any injury. I think we really need to think about that as well in terms of safety angle. So one is a very important part of that is the designing of coach itself, as well as making sure that all these issues and many more will be incorporated when we do that. I know we have also taken the help of at least two national agencies. One is the National Institute of Fashion Technology and the other is National Institute of Design. Both were mentioned in my budget speech, and I'm very happy that we also done a lot of progress on that. So getting an best possible solution, best possible ideas from anywhere in the country and now anywhere in the world should be the right way to find out how can we provide a holistic and the best possible solution to the person who travels by train. So this is something which is part of an overall strategy to provide a good customer service to all the passengers, irrespective of the class they travel. Obviously, the person who is paying higher amount of charges will have to get a better service, but there should be minimum standard of services which will be provided, irrespective of the travel, the class of travel that he travels. And therefore, we really need to do that. As we can see, the passenger, just by sheer travel, adds a lot of value to the possibility of railways earning revenue. This needs to be monetized in a proper manner. One way is the advertisement. Because more number of people come, we can actually have a captive audience where we can use that number of people sitting in the train to monetize it in terms of getting ad revenue. It is like several social networking sites. They are free. Looks like we don't have to pay for it. But they are really not free because they get advertising revenue only because there is an audience which is attached to it. We really need to develop such models, not just relying only on one source, but also on multiple sources of earning revenue from the passenger that it travels. If you can do some value-added services, I know the passengers could also be very willing to pay for it. That again could be whatever you put service, you put a value addition charge, and that charge itself can add to the revenue of the railways. So I think we really need to work on several models. The one other element of it is before he boards the train, he has to be on the platform and the station for a while. So now we are trying to develop 400 stations, which will be using probably the best possible technology, best possible expertise. So this is done on a PPP model, which will be available on a website for people to bid for it. And therefore, this again could be an extremely useful addition to the customer service that will be provided. But if you look at overall, even station development itself has a value to the property because there are more number of people go there. So people coming to railway station itself, not only the fees that they pay for travel itself is a source of revenue, but if you monetize properly because you are getting captive audience, how can you monetize that value to earn more revenues for railways is something which is an interesting challenge for all of us to deal with. And therefore, while we discuss, there are a lot of people who have come from different backgrounds, different countries. We should also think about when you are going to make investments into the railways to offer better customer service, how could you get returns, not necessarily in one form, but in several forms. And that's something which is interesting. Getting audience itself is a great commercial opportunity. How to exploit that commercial opportunity in different forms is something which we really need to wear different thinking caps and try to think about it together. So I think this is A very interesting idea. I'm very happy that many of you have assembled here from different backgrounds will do it. How do you have the ladder is something again which people always keep thinking about. The toilets, the bladder, the seats, the coach, the berths, many of these needs to be looked into from a different perspective. Already the type of linen that people will be using, what type of design it should have, whatever design the curtain should have, all of this eventually adds to the experience of travel, which people are happy with it. As I said, not only by paying the ticket, but they could also pay us in different form. And that's what we really need to find out and capture these new ideas as to how to do it. And therefore, I think this type of global audience with local content could be able to think about it in a proper manner, and therefore I wish it. This is something code designing is part of the experience which I said, but this I would call it as a hardware experience. There are also software experience, which people would expect it when they are on board. One is the cleanliness, other is the quality of service of the food that you get, the quality of linen, not just in terms of design, but in terms of also the cleanliness. So all of this is a soft part of it. How do you provide the service to the people? How do you do this? So therefore, on-board experience, even with the best design that we could make, if it is not married with the other part of it, will not get a complete solution at the end of the day. So therefore, while you think about design, also think about designing the entire architecture of service to be provided on board. That itself is a very important issue, and I think that will really provide the type of solution that we need. And again, I repeat, we should never underestimate the power of people traveling by train itself, the sheer volume, which will really bring a lot of value to the railways over a period of time if we succeed in monetizing it with an imaginative way. We cannot just think about conventionally, think about new ways, and that's what we'll be able to add value. When we talk about 24, 25, 27 million people who travel by railways every day, most of them travel at least in Mumbai and Kolkata and Chennai and other places by suburban railways. So whatever we are thinking about designing, we should also cover the suburban railway system as well. Because this is what we are talking about is a little long distance train where people will be able to use bus and others. But people who are traveling by train on suburban railway, their experience is also extremely important. And they are, in my opinion, we have to do a lot there because the type of congestion, the type of crowding that happens is something which has to be avoided. And to do that, you must think about a different design. So I hope in this particular week, I was looking at a program, I didn't see a very focused discussion on this topic. How do you provide a short distance passengers with a type of comfort that should go into that? So I think we really need to think about that as well. And if you do all this, then we'll be able to, at least because maximum time that it spends is on the board, and therefore providing best possible solution on board will also enhance the ability of the passenger to enjoy the total comfort level of the journey in a much better way. So I wish this conference a great success. In the next 2 days, I hope you'll work on many of the issues. But idea is, it should not be discussed only academically. Because this type of academic discussion, it adds value, but will not provide solution. If you want a solution, we must prepare an action plan. The valedictory session should be devoted to that, to decide in how much time we are going to implement all the good ideas that will be emanating from this discussion. And I think that should be the starting point of implementation the moment the conference is over tomorrow in the afternoon. And that's what we should try to work on, take it forward to the logical end, implement it as soon as possible, and also make sure that we have the ability to deliver it through various organizations that we have. The organizations themselves should look at, introspect to find out whether their ability of change, is it inbuilt into the organized structure they have. And if you don't do that, best ideas implemented to the same system may not give us the desired result. So all of that together should be the discussion and should be the action point. So again, once again, I congratulate all of you, wish you all the success, and hope that we'll be able to enhance the value of service that railway provides to customers as a result of this very important conference. Thank you very much.